In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what I have understand Bitcoin to be as far as money. So I'm going to explain it in the most simple way that I hope that even somebody who's like 5 years old can understand what Bitcoin is and how it is money. So Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer, meaning from me to you. Decentralized, meaning that not one person owns a majority of all the Bitcoin. Scarce. Scarce meaning there's only 21 million Bitcoin. Digital, meaning that it uses electricity and computer programs to be created. And it's also cryptographic, meaning that it uses very complicated math problems and different chains of numbers and letters to be formed. So it's really hard to be able to get hacked. So the reason why Bitcoin is money and is valuable is because one, it is a proof of work cryptocurrency. There are other type of cryptocurrencies that are just made into existence like poof. You program some different programs into the computer and they can just be made, and people can give arbitrary values to those cryptocurrencies. Some examples are XRP, Dogecoin. Those are just two examples right there. But the thing that makes Bitcoin different is that Bitcoin needs electricity and it needs the hash power, also known as the computer power, to be able to solve very, very complicated math problems. Sorry if I sound condescending, but I'm trying to get it out in a very simple way, and I want you guys to understand exactly what I'm saying. But Bitcoin is solving these very complicated math problems, and so as it's doing this, it provides a ledger. A ledger is just a list of like checks and balances. Like say if I had a lemonade stand, then I would write on a piece of paper every transaction that I had that day. So if somebody gave me $25 and the lemonade costed $5, I would give them $20 change back, right? So Bitcoin, it has this feature built in. Every time Bitcoin is created or Bitcoin is sent on what is called the blockchain, because every time a new Bitcoin is created, or anytime new Bitcoins are created or a new transaction is happening, it is happening on the blockchain. It is a new block in the chain. Imagine a chain of different blocks, and on these blocks it shows you the date, the time, and who is transacting between each other. The reason why this is valuable is because one, it's public, meaning that everybody who interacts in this blockchain can see who is sending who money. You don't get to see the actual person's name, like my name is Jonathan, somebody else's name may be Sammy. I can't see that that is Jonathan and that is Sammy, but we get to see the wallet. It is a cryptographic bunch of letters and numbers of that wallet. So that's why you don't want to share these things called key phrases and C phrases. So Bitcoin is very hard to hack because there's many computers all around the world that are working together to create new Bitcoin. And every computer has this thing called a node, which is basically a copy of the whole history of the ledgers and the transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain network. All right. So the fact that we have all these records of the Bitcoin blockchain network, it means that nobody can get cheated. And also, it also means that if somebody tries to cheat the Bitcoin system by using a lot of electricity to try to counteract the system by solving other math problems or hack the system in some way, it would actually cost them more electricity and power to do that rather than just go along with the system to create new Bitcoin. So really, and also all these other people that have computers that are mining new Bitcoin, we can check and balance on if that Bitcoin or whatever somebody's trying to do that's nefarious or that they have ill intent. We can tell by all the other computers that nope, that's a bad actor. Nope, that's not a legitimate transaction. Nope, that is not a real Bitcoin. So it's better than having a financial system where we have to trust in each other, because humans are flawed. Humans have greed. Humans will lie about how much money is actually in the bank or how much gold is actually in an area. We used to be on a gold standard, meaning that every dollar was backed by certain ounces and kilograms of gold. But in 1970s, we got off the gold standard. But even then, even if we were on it, we have to rely on the humans that are operating the bank, that they have the gold in the bank, and they'll give you the note of the dollar. This is a trust note. Here's the dollar for the gold that you're keeping in the bank. But what ended up happening is the United States ended up giving people these dollars, but they kept the gold. So you don't get to have, they made it illegal to own gold. And so they had the bank hold the gold and they would give you the note of the dollar. But again, after we got off of the gold standard, now we can inflate the dollar by printing more and more and more. Bitcoin is scarce, meaning that you cannot produce any more. It is written into the code. And like I said, it's decentralized. And the only way that Bitcoin can actually change is if a majority of the people who own Bitcoin on the networks of the computers change that by voting on new changes with Bitcoin. But as you can probably tell, there are billions of people on this planet and barely anybody agrees on anything. So how Bitcoin is now is basically how it's going to be forever. So the scarcity, the fact that it's proven by electricity